All right. Let's talk about websites for a minute. I have 4 of them. Okay. Frugal Brothers, Frugal Brothers.com. I have GFI number 4 less.com. The FrugalTech Show.com and Spamigator.com. Now, every one of those websites is basically based upon a content management system, so to say. What that really means is that is a website built on, it's really an application. It's really built on top of a database. And I have shared, my websites are on shared hosting accounts. So there was some advice. I was kind of looking around, always trying to figure out how to speed the things up, because occasionally they just get real slow and all the code and everything looks right. Everything seems to be working right as far as the software is concerned. So I came across a very, very good and helpful information to those of us who have e-commerce sites. And there are a list of the 5 common e-commerce site mistakes. And the first mistake is 1. There are too many dynamic pages that take valuable seconds to load. And basically, when a lot of these websites have so many links that actually are not part of the website itself, but actually go out to a database, that it can take a lot longer to load. So the point is that you want to avoid as many dynamic web pages, and that's what they call. These are pages that the web server is dishing up on the fly based on links to databases. That can take a long time to load, and especially if you're in a shared hosting environment and you're sharing a SQL or MySQL database server, a busy site, a slow SQL server, your pages are going to render a lot more slowly. So the advice is only really sit and think about what has to be dynamic, content that's constantly updated versus a static web page that doesn't change. So the advice is really for, unless you've got the high-end software and all these things, to have more static web pages and less dynamic web pages. And you're going to have a faster loading in a site, and customers are going to like that. They're going to stay on your site longer. You're going to have a lower bounce rate. A lot of good things are going to happen. It really is a design issue. It's simply, the easy thing to do is make your web pages dynamic. Most websites need dynamic pages, but there are performance issues that you, the website operator, have to keep in mind. So be judicious, but use static pages whenever you can to get that balance of performance and speed. Number 2, overestimating concurrent traffic and spending too much as a result. Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. It's not how many visitors come to your site in a month over a particular time. It's how many. You really need to think of the site as how many simultaneous users will connect at the same exact time, and kind of ramp from that part. It's really about a 70-30 rule. It's 70% software and 30% hardware on website performance, believe it or not. And so website operators will pay thousands of dollars really planning on all these connections when it's really overkill. They really don't have as many people at one time hitting that site as it may be over a course of a month. So don't spend money unnecessarily to get all this bandwidth and all this power that you're really not going to use. And then ramp up appropriately is really what the crux of the article is saying. Just don't get over generous with the hardware and software if you're not going to have, 2,000 people at a time on your website. Don't shell out the cash for that to happen. But then also some companies will, kind of have like this ever increasing traffic, especially say near the holidays. They said in kind of their equations, they never really plan for that peak period of simultaneous connection. So you kind of got to balance that out. Number 3, no consideration of resolving performance issues with software than buying new hardware. I think we mentioned that a little bit, but it's in their experience, about 70% of the time it's a software issue when you run into performance issues rather than hardware. It may be a case of simply rewriting the software, adding a new application software. Perhaps you need to buy more memory for a database server rather than buying a new web server. The software solutions is a lot cheaper and easier to implement than a new hardware solution. But generally speaking, about 70% of the time when you have a slow-running site, that sort of thing, the advice is that most businesses really should have an IT consultant or a VAR, value-added reseller, to advise you on how to deal with that. But about 70% of the time, performance issues can be resolved using software. Number 4, this is a huge one, and unbelievable that even large companies fail to observe this rule. And that's not making the site compatible with more than just one browser. I don't know how many times I've been to websites that only play nice with, for example, Internet Explorer. They don't look right in Firefox, or they don't look right in Safari, which we use a Mac over here. Are you saying because I use a Mac you don't want my business? So is that what you're saying? Look, take a little bit more effort. Make sure your site is compatible with not only Internet Explorer, but Firefox, Safari, maybe a couple other browsers out there. You'll be glad you did. Everybody's welcome, and you're showing that customer we took the time and the effort to design our website to be friendly to all browsers, or as many browsers as possible. So, number 5, failure to get outside feedback on usability. Yeah, usability right now is a big buzzword. Okay, it really is. But it is usability tests, or I should say it has really become this metric in which how websites are viewed today is how usable they are. And there's surveys out there that, there's usability tests, scores, focus groups, all this research and development that's out there on how usable your site is. Look, for a small business, maybe just getting a small focus group to look at your website and coming up with ideas would be at least the start. I know, we've got a web designer. He loves it, and you'd be a fool not to buy it. It works great, and they love it. And, you think, okay, if they love it, I like it, everybody's going to love it. But they may be way off the mark on that. So just maybe get, a little focus group, have them go to your site and make suggestions. Have them try to do business with you on that site and get some real feedback there. It don't have to cost any money, maybe some pizzas and some pop, something like that. But at least something is better than nothing. But get some people to go to that website and give you some feedback on that website.